Hello. Buenas noches. Yeah, buenas noches. Hey, y'all. It's been a minute since I have been live here on YouTube. It's definitely been a minute since I was live on the day I was actually supposed to go live. Today is not one of those days. Today is a Thursday. Typically, I go live on Wednesdays, but the past few Wednesdays, I have I've been out in the streets. We just wrapped up the inaugural Reclaim the Retreat in El Salvador. I got back to Mexico City around 2 a.m. this morning. Before that, I think I had started celebrating my birthday month, and I've been some everywhere. So sorry, it's not a Wednesday, but yeah, I'm here now. Glad to be back with y'all. Thanks for coming to hang out with me. We are waiting for our guests to join us. Um, so while we do that, I will get through my introduction. Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Adelia Borishade, although most people know me as Picky Girl Travels the World. I have been living outside the US for 6.5 years. And I call Mexico City home. I help mostly Black women develop their financial confidence so they can master their money and then they can live whatever kind of life they want. Whether that life includes travel, which is one of the things we talk about on this channel, or moving abroad, which is another thing we talk about on this channel. So if you are interested in learning more about finances, living outside the US, or traveling, in particular, solo travel is the specialty around here, you are in the right place. And I'm glad you found me. And it would be awesome if you would subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you would know when I go live, which I do sometimes. Actually, I am live tonight. We're waiting for our guest, Jocelyn, to join us to talk about how she moved her family of five out of the US so that they could finally live the American dream. But tomorrow, now let me think about what time tomorrow, because I don't know if y'all are aware of this. When those of you in the US sprang forward for daylight savings time, those of us who live in the majority of Mexico did not. Mexico, for the most part, except some areas near the border, no longer does daylight savings time. So I'm trying to remember what time the live is tomorrow. I believe it is 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, because that's what y'all are on, daylight time. We are on standard time. So if you are curious about life in Ecuador, join us tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I think will be 11 a.m. for me here in Mexico City. Let me check my calendar to be sure. Because I'm still, y'all know math is not my strong suit, so I'm still getting used to the new time situation. Yes, that will be 11 a.m. here in Mexico City, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to be talking about life for Black women in Ecuador tomorrow. So, yay, we're going to be doing that. Hey y'all, thanks for the birthday wishes. My birthday is in 5 days, and as I just got off a plane this morning, I will be getting on another plane Sunday so that I can go and officially celebrate my actual birthday. As y'all know, I have been celebrating all month because why not? Um, so so yeah. Okay. So let me see. Let me double check um if our guest is still coming through. Um What have y'all been up to? I feel like I'm like out of the loop because I didn't have a lot of time uh while I was in El Salvador to like be on the social media and all of that because I was focused on the retreat. So I feel like I don't know what's going on in the world. All right, let's see. Because now Honduras doesn't change time. So I wouldn't think that the time change would be an issue for my guests. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you very much for the birthday wishes. Um, it's been a very busy month, which was not when I laid out my plan. I'm not gonna say my plan for the year because I don't plan that well, but when I like mentally thought about what I was going to be doing this month, I did not think it would be this busy. And so that that has been a surprise. So I'm looking forward to next week when I just sit around and do a lot of nothing. I think I'm going to read. I'm going to lounge around and do a lot of nothing before I get ready to travel again. Uh, yes, locating cozy. I will be in Portugal the end of next month. Yeah, I think the end of next month I'll be in Portugal. Um, so I think um, I'm looking forward to just doing nothing next week before things kick up again in April. Oh, here's Ivana. I certainly can't wait to do nothing. I'm exhausted. Yeah. I am looking forward to doing absolutely nothing because when I get back from my trip next week, next month, yes, we've got Morocco, we've got Portugal, but before that, um, the I am hosting the Get Started Investing Challenge. The last challenge I did, I think, was in January. That seems like a million years ago. First of all, that seems like a million years ago. Um, so yeah, uh, if you weren't in a place where you could participate last January, and you want to like take your financial future in your hand, you've been talking about like, oh, I'm going to use that 401k they have at my job, but you don't know what it is, you don't know how it works. This is the challenge for you. If you've been wanting to like open a brokerage account and start investing in the US stock market, this challenge is for you. In 6 days, we go from I don't know anything about that. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what kind of account I have, what kind of account I need. And by the end of the week, you will have made your first stock or bond purchase. So I was going to say there's a link in the description, but honestly, I don't even know if there is. But surely I put a link in the description. Ugh. Oh no, let me do a check. Because y'all, I don't know. So yeah, so before I can jet set again, I'm gonna be hosting that challenge. Um, but yeah, then Morocco, then Portugal, I think I'm back home in May. And then, okay, okay, there is a link in the description. It says sign up for my courses. Yes, you can use that link to go to join the challenge. You could go to pickygirltravelstheworld.com/investing challenge. That could get you there as well. I saw a question in here. Okay, good question. Can you explain how and when your creative sessions work, or do you send those emails? Uh, After you're done doing your nothing, of course. I can answer this question now. Let's see if I have it saved. I think I do. Okay. Creative co-working typically, okay, first of all, in case there's somebody new here and they don't know, creative co-working is oh, okay, here it is. Here it is. Creative co-working is something I decided to do because a lot of the co-working kinds of things, like different people do, it's very focused on like being productive and getting work done. And I thought like why not apply that kind of idea, that kind of determination, a focus on creative things, things that make us happy. So that's where the idea for creating creative co-working came from. As many of you know, I make a lot of my clothes when I make them. And that's been the problem. I have not been very good about setting aside time to like actually make the things. And so I decided, kind of like Stephanie Perry used co-working to help her buckle down and write her book. I was like, okay, I am going to commit to spending, hour and a half every Sunday to actually making some stuff. Cause like I need I need clothes to wear in Morocco. I need clothes to wear in Portugal. So that's kind of where the idea for creative co-working came from. Typically it is Sundays. There was no creative co-working last Sunday because I was in El Salvador doing the reclaim the retreat, and we were like on the side of a volcano, so not very conducive to that. But yes, creative co-working will be back this Sunday. And to sign up, go to buymeacoffee.com/Adelia/membership for a nominal fee, like $1. Because we do it over Zoom instead of on YouTube. And so I post within Buy Me a Coffee, I make posts with the week's Zoom link. That way, it's protected, that sort of thing. So yeah, we will be back at it this Sunday. And I haven't decided on time because previously it was 5 p.m. Eastern, which would have been 4 p.m. for me. But now with the time change, or yeah, because y'all changed time and we didn't, now there's a 2 hour difference, and I have to decide, do I want to do this at 3 p.m. my time, or do I want to push it a little later? So as soon as I decide on a time, which will have to be like tomorrow, I'll make the post with the new Zoom link for creative co-working. Okay. I don't know where I guess is. Maybe something came up. So this may turn into know what this may turn into. I don't know. Let's see. Blah blah blah. I thought I saw another question in here. Um okay. You are I don't know if it's AMM, AMM, I don't know. but you are coming with very good questions today. Okay, is the challenge strictly investing or is budgeting included if you don't have investment money? Okay, the challenge is strictly about investing in the US stock market. Um, but the part of your question about if you don't have investment money, you got $5 because that is honestly, you can invest with $5. You can invest with $2. You don't have to have a lot of money. When I started investing, remember, I was a classroom teacher. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money at all. So this challenge does not focus on budgeting. However, the Financial Confidence Academy is relaunching in May. And as a part of it, we're going to cover some of the more foundational things. So budgeting will be a part of that. But this challenge is just 6 days to get you up and going and understanding what your accounts in, how to invest, what to buy, that sort of thing. Okay, oops, wrong button. Sorry about that. Um, okay, I don't see any other questions. I don't see any other questions. It doesn't look like our guest will be joining us, so we may have to reschedule. We may have to reschedule that that live. I don't know. What do y'all want to talk about? We're here. I can change the thumbnail and the title of this. But what else y'all want to talk about? Anything? Monica, uh, okay, this is why I will never talk about this. Um, as a American, if you are invested in offshore products, often like mutual funds, that kind of things, they're considered to be what does PFIC stand for? The IRS does not like them. Let me passive foreign investment company. Now, this does not involve stocks, individual stocks in your adopted home country. That's a separate thing. But most people, individual stock investing really isn't the way to go. Most people would be investing in mutual funds. And if you invest in mutual funds that are not based in the United States, those are considered PFICs, PFIC, and are punitively treated by the IRS. And because of that, I will not talk about that. There may be somebody else who will talk about that, but not me. Because y'all know I want to keep things simple. I don't want things that are complicated and punitively taxed. I'm not about that life. Not about that life. I'm glad to have you, Sunflower AD. Glad to have you. How was the retreat? The retreat was awesome. Ooh, y'all think we could get Ivana to come on here and we could talk about the retreat? I know she's watching this. Ivana, let me know if you want. I'll send you a link and you can come on here and we can talk about the retreat. The retreat was great. It was absolutely great. Uh, Better than we had even imagined it could be. Greater than we had even dreamed. So yeah, the retreat was awesome. Uh, Hold on, let me just send Ivana a link and we'll see if she pops up in here. Here, I'm gonna send her a link. I know she's like, what girl? I'm trying to buy tacos. We'll see if Ivana will join us. Okay. Mexico City school. I don't know. I've barely been home this month. Mexico City is quite warm right now. It's 81 degrees. However, it is not as warm as, of course, El Salvador was. El Salvador was so hot. I sweated. I sweated. I sweat. I don't know. There was a lot of sweat happening in El Salvador. It was awesome, but um, so even at 81 here, which is warm, it's still not as warm as it was there. It's jacaranda season. I thought because I was going to be gone so much for the month of March that I would miss out on seeing the jacarandas. Pero they are like in full bloom right now, came back right at the perfect time. I don't know any other scoop. Did you see the interview I did last week with Tiara Darnell about Black Sea Cocina? So we have a soul food restaurant here in Mexico City. That's buzz. Hey, hey, okay. I guess Ivana is off the hot seat. Uh, she doesn't have to join, but we are going to talk about the retreat. I think we are thinking about going live tomorrow on IG, and then I'll probably bring that over here. Oh, there's Ivana. I think you're off the hook, Ivana. I think you're off the hook. Okay. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I think Ivana and I will talk about the retreat tomorrow on IG. I'll let y'all know when we finalize a time on that. Uh, okay. All right. All right. So here we go.
Hey,
Hey. Hey.
y'all, I am so sorry. I cannot believe I'm so late.
No worries. No worries. Just blame it on being on Latin time.
Yeah, I'm
My
gonna blame it on that in time.
my dog has been with the dog sitter all this time that I have been gone. I just got back this morning. I texted them yesterday and was like, "What time are you bringing the dog back?" And they were like, "Noon." Okay. Um, it's 5:23 here. They haven't brought the dog.
Okay.
So it,
So then we're really on Latin time. We're really on Latin time. Oh gosh.
yeah, yeah. All right. So doesn't matter that you're late. You're here. Thank you so much for joining us. Um, so I gave my little introduction and I gave a very, very brief introduction. I just mentioned that your family of five, y'all left the US about a year ago, was it?
Yes. It's well,
Oh,
technically last year, so about 8 months ago.
okay. All right. So I don't know if you want to give us an introduction of who you are.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So I usually am not late. um, I am a big fan of Picky Girl Travels. My name is Jocelyn Minerve. I'm with Minerves on the Move. Minerves on the Move. So I am one of five. My family and I, we are both educators. My husband and I, we are content creators. We love living abroad. Originally from California, HBCU graduates, Spelman and Morehouse. And like, I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yay, yay. Okay, so we're gonna jump into it. Um, all right, so give us a little bit of background about like how would you describe your family's life in the US before y'all left, before the move?
Yeah, I would say night and day. So we were also educators back home in the States. My husband and I, we're living in Atlanta. We live paycheck to paycheck. We worked all the time. We did not have time for each other, for ourselves, for our children. I would say this moving, like, one of the biggest things was because we wanted that work life balance and that time between us. But our life back home is night and day than, I'm taking my glasses off because they're a little bit blurry. Night and day than from right now. But we live in a really small house. We were barely paying the bills. We barely had time for each other. It just was not the best situation.
Okay. So I imagine that y'all were like, we're trying to do the things. You're supposed to get married, you're supposed to have kids, you're supposed to, try and get a house and do all of these things. Like what was going on, or what happened that you looked around and was like, this is not working. We might need to look outside the US.
I mean, that's exactly what it was. Like, we were tired of the routine. We were tired of just what life should be like. You're supposed to go to college and you're supposed to get married and you're supposed to have kids. And when we have kids, I'm supposed to stay home and I'm supposed to support you. Like, I never wanted that. I never wanted that, but I felt like I had to live that life. And so for me, it's like I wanted to break free of that, and I wanted my children to see what life could be like and on their own terms.
Okay. Now you just said something interesting. You were like, I didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
What did you want when you envisioned,
Oh my
the
gosh.
life of your dreams? What did it look like?
The life of my dreams was I was going to graduate Spelman College. I was going to travel the world. I was going to visit every single country, at least every single continent, maybe not Antarctica, obviously. I was just going to be more free. I wasn't free. I just was not free to just live the life that I wanted. Like, I even remember wanting to take a gap year. I just graduated Spelman. I was accepted into this program where I was going to get my master's degree for free through a alternate teaching program. And before that, I went to Panama, and I had such an amazing experience just to see people live life, because people aren't always so go 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 other places. You can be late. You can relax with your family. We're not there's not such in a hurry. And I went to Panama and I fell in love, not with a person. I fell in love with Panama and the lifestyle there. And I remember being at a hostel, and the owner of the hostel said, "Hey, why don't you stay here? We really need someone who's a bilingual English Spanish speaker. You're very welcoming." And I was talking to my mom about it, and you only know what you know. My mom is a high school graduate, and so her thought was like, you need to go to college to be successful. And she said, "Why would you do that? Why would you stay in Panama and live there and work at a hostel when you have a graduate program waiting for you for free? You can do that later. You can do that later. You can do that later. Right now, you can get all your college out of the way, your degrees, your certifications, build up your career, and then later in life, that's when you can relax." And for me, that later in life didn't happen, because then I got pregnant and I was a single mom, and I was like, well, I need to settle down for my son. And then I got married and I had another baby, and I was like, well, I need to be stable and provide stability. So it just didn't happen. And I think that feeling sat with me and ate at me. And, my husband, I thought my voice was a lot quieter than it is now. Like, I think I softened my voice and like my voice got quiet so he could speak louder. Like, he was pushed to the front, and like his needs came before mine. And one day I was like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this. This is not the life that I want. This is not the marriage that I want. I want to go back to 12 years ago when I was listening to my own voice. So
I always find it interesting when, like when I tell somebody I live in Mexico or I live in this country, and they're like, when I say somebody, people from the States, and they're like, oh, but they all want to come here. That
oh my
there's
God, I
this
do this all the time.
this this idea that the US is the prize. The way we live life there is is what everyone should want. It's what everyone does want. And so when
Mhm.
you were talking about your mom saying to you, like, why would you want to just work at a hostel in Panama? Like, you're supposed to be pushing to achieve X, Y, and Z. Like, why would you? I feel like the vibe she was going for was like, why would you settle for that?
Yeah,
You
that's
know, in
exactly what she was saying. That was exactly what she was saying, and I think she clearly stated that. My mom, she's my biggest advocate. She is. If I need anything, I will go to my mom. Like my mom, she's always there and she wants the best for me. But she thinks that here is or America. When I say America, USA is the best. We are the best.
well, that's it's what you said. You don't know what you don't know, or you only know, what you've seen. So, you know, I think her response as a mother in the US, particularly a mother of a Black person, like, this is everything we've been working toward for generations. You're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to get the degree, you're supposed to keep pushing. So her reaction doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it being on the other side of that is just very interesting how, I've said it before, I think the US has like really, really good PR,
Yeah.
you know,
They
uh,
do.
and and this and very the US is very good at um promoting its own stuff, its own myth, this myth of, the lives that we have there. Now, when you said something about like softening your voice and stepping back and pushing your husband to the front, I think there are a lot of women who can
Mhm.
identify with that, me being one of them. Um, that's, and I too one day was like, this
Yeah.
ain't it. This ain't what I want. Now, I was not able to stay married because I chose poorly. Oh boy, I was married to was not, that wasn't going to work. This version of me could not be married to him.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I applaud you for like being able to wrest back that control of your life and do it in such a way that you could do it with your husband.
I
So
want to say I was going to do it with or without him. This new version of me, I was not going to settle for that. And I want to like, I think that's what we do as women. It's not even just limited to our husbands. It's to our children. We put our life on hold for our children. We put our life on hold when our parents get older. We just keep putting our life on hold, and it's like a competition of who can be the most selfless. Like that's really, it's just such a selfless life, and it's so empty. And when I woke up from that, I was like, I can't do it anymore. I cannot live this life. I cannot. And so I gave him the decision. Honestly, this was the best decision for our marriage because it changed our marriage. For us, it was kind of like, yeah, why are we doing this? Like who is in this marriage? Me and him, or is it me, him, his, my mom, and all of the world? And it also helped us like define like what is our marriage going to look like for us? What are the roles, if there are any roles that we're going to play? So us moving abroad also, like, it changed my marriage and my relationship with my husband um dramatically. And even being here, like what you were saying, the US is really good PR because not just everyone in the US, but even the people here are like, why would you come here? Like, why are you here? California girl? Like, why are you here? I get that all the time. Why are you here?
okay. And so where is here
Oh,
for
so
you?
I'm in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Um, and I guess they don't have really good PR.
No, they don't.
They don't
They
have
don't.
PR. So if you go on in like Google, YouTube, anywhere, usually with San Pedro Sula, what's gonna pop up is propaganda, is I want to call it, of like it's so dangerous, the murder capital of the world, femicide, homicide, all the sides. And I was looking at statistics, and they were saying like last year alone, like St. Louis, Baltimore, and Chicago had more murders in the entire country of Honduras. But that's not what you're going to hear. And a lot of people will listen to the people who don't live here, or they will compare apples to oranges. If you have the needs and the resources to move your entire family to San Pedro Sula, Honduras, most likely you're middle class. You cannot compare yourself to someone who's living in poverty, who doesn't have an education, who is, it's just, you're comparing apples to oranges. It's not fair. It's not fair at all.
Okay. So y'all looked up one day and were like, we don't know whose life this is we're living, but this is not the life we want.
Correct.
And was the first thought we should look outside the US? Because you mentioned, you had always envisioned a life for yourself that included travel and seeing the world.
Yes. So this was actually always what I wanted to do. And it was an ultimatum for my husband. I was like, we have been living life what you wanted to do. This is not what I wanted to do. It's time that things can be about me now. I love how your channel is Picky Girl, because
yes, be picky.
Yes,
not everything.
Be picky
Absolutely.
about everything. I was never a picky girl. I was a selfless girl. Don't be a selfless girl.
Girl,
And
it's like, selfish season over here.
Exactly.
That's what we're all about.
It had to be about me. And so I had wanted to go abroad for a long time. Also, my husband's family, they're a family of immigrants. So he is first generation. His family's from Trinidad and Tobago. He's pretty much grown up with the mindset of like, we've come to the States. This is so amazing. Like, my family came over here for this reason. So he hadn't even traveled outside of the States or Trinidad. He hadn't. Not as an adult, not alone. And so I had studied abroad in Buenos Aires, in Argentina. I was in Pucallpa, Dominican Republic. I had traveled to Panama by myself. I had seen the world. And so I wanted to go back to that. And so we knew we were going to go abroad. I was like, I'm going with or without you. That was what I presented to him, with or without you. And he said, with you. So he got it together.
Good answer. Good answer.
He got it together. We're both teachers. Working international education is one of the easiest ways to transition to a life abroad. There's teachers, there's coaches, instructional coaches, people who work in admissions office, people who work in the business department. And so we signed up for recruitment agencies. We knew we wanted to go to Latin America because I already had a background in Spanish, but we were open to anything.
Okay, so Comfort asked the obvious question then. Why Honduras?
So going back to my story of going to Panama, I was like, we're going to Panama. And then when I stumbled upon your channel, I was like, we're going to Mexico. Like, we were going to Panama or Mexico. But Honduras reached out to us, the director of my school, and wanted to interview us. And I was like, I don't know. I don't really know much about Honduras. But once I did the interview, that's when I started to do my research on Honduras. And San Pedro Sula is an amazing city. They are close to beaches. They are close to mountains. They are close to lakes. They are close to modern amenities. There is so much to do in this city. Also, I wanted to be somewhere where there could be people that looked like me. And Honduras, they have a Garifuna community. It's really big. People think that I'm from here. Even with my accent, my Spanish accent, people think that I'm from here. I like blending in and going places. Honduras is such an amazing country. There's so many things to offer. The dollar goes so far. It's very family friendly. People are sleeping on San Pedro Sula.
Okay. Well, and you and I have discussed this because you interviewed me for your channel. And those of you who've been around for a minute, y'all know that I moved to Honduras when I first left the US. And so I know the struggle of trying to do the research for a move abroad to Honduras because there just aren't the kind of resources like finding information about moving to Mexico, very, very easy. Finding information about moving to Panama, very, very easy. Honduras, not so much.
No, it was very difficult. I couldn't find anything. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I couldn't find anything when we were talking about so many things that talk about the challenges of the country. That was what was all that was out there for me. However, because of the school, I was able to connect with people who were already there. So I asked specifically, can I talk to a teacher who is now there, working there, but isn't from Honduras to see what their experience is like? So that was one of the best things. And I tell people all the time, talk to someone who actually lives there, not someone who's just passing through and is judging the entire country off of one city, but someone who actually lives there and who you can relate to. You know, I want to talk to, if I can, Black women who are living in Honduras, because I promise you, the perception of the country is going to be completely different from that of like a white man. They're going to tell me something completely different.
Very true. Very true. Okay. So the school reached out to you, and I assume they were offering you both positions, right?
Yes. Yes.
And you start your research. And so, how did you or why did you decide to go with them as opposed to like keeping your options open or maybe picking a school in a different country?
I think if I'm being really honest, the package was just better. The package was just better. So if you are a teacher out there and you want to go abroad, you know, you have to do your research. Compare those contracts. I'll be honest, I make less in dollars, but somehow I'm able to save more because things cost so much less. We were looking at Colombia, but we are a family of, again, of 5, so I have 3 kids. Majority of schools is very common where it's if there's one person, there's one dependent. So let's say you're the teacher and your husband's not a teacher. They're going to pay for you and your husband or you and your child. But the good thing is my husband and I are both teachers, which is looks great. They get the 2 for 1. However, we are bringing our dependents. So it was always kind of like we'll pay for 2 kids. We'll pay for 2 extra plane tickets and 2 kids' tuitions. But we had that third child where it was, for your third child, you're going to have to pay for the tuition or we're going to have to pay for 50%. But Honduras was the only school that said, we'll take care of your whole family. And I want to say that speaks volumes of the entire country. I have never met a stranger in Honduras. Everyone here is ridiculously friendly, so nice. I made a comparison once on my channel of if you've ever owned a pit bull, they are the nicest, loyal, most sweetest dogs in the world. And if you ask someone who's owned a pit bull, they will say the same thing. But if you've ever met someone who's never owned a pit bull, they'll say, I heard it was dangerous. I heard they were scary. I heard they're aggressive. I heard you can't leave your children around them. But they've never owned a pit bull. Honduras is very much the same. Everyone here is so friendly and so kind and so loving. They've welcomed us to our homes. It's just amazing.
I would agree with that analogy. I have always said that while Honduras was not the place for me, the people I met there were some of the kindest I have met in my entire life. Folks who would give me the shirt off their back, even if they didn't have shoes. You know what I'm saying? Like, just incredibly welcoming, incredibly kind, always trying to be helpful despite all of the challenges that the country deals with.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Okay. So, um, now what was the reaction y'all got when you told family and friends we are going to take, because how old are your kids? They're young.
Yeah, when we got here, my son was 2. He turned 3 like the next day. So right now I have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. 3, 5, and 8.
Okay, 3, 5, and 8. So you tell grandma and them, we're going to take your grandkids and we're moving to San Pedro Sula. And if grandma does a quick Google, she's like, hold on, you taking my babies to the murder capital of the world?
Yeah.
What was the reaction?
Oh, exactly that. Like, I haven't talked to some cousins in years, and they're flooding me with emails of every article of every heinous, dangerous act that's ever happened in San Pedro Sula and all the reasons of why I should not move to Honduras. And so I just started sending every single news article of every black man that was ever shot, every mass shooting in the world. Like, we're just gonna go tit for tat here. That's what we're gonna do. So they did not. So many people said it was a mistake. I shouldn't take my kids there. It's dangerous. There were very few people who honestly encouraged me. There were very few people.
Okay. But despite that, y'all decided to go for it anyway.
But yeah, I was gonna go. I was gonna go. If he wasn't gonna let me take my babies, I would have had to visit them on Christmas break. And I love my family. However, I got to a point in my life where I was like, I have to love myself. I have to love myself. I have to have a voice. I have to have peace. It was keeping me up at night, just not living the life that I wanted to live. And it's so hard to explain because I was a teacher and I had a great job at a great school and I potentially could have been a dean and I was making money, but I was so miserable. I was so unhappy living that life.
Okay. So, you talked at the very beginning, you talked about life being night and day,
Yeah.
and how, this was an opportunity to live the life of your dreams. So can you talk about that a little bit? Like, in what ways is y'all's life different now than it was before the move?
Um, I'm going to separate this into categories for anyone who's listening. I think the obvious is financial. We were making nearly $100,000 in Atlanta, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't like it was enough to pay bills and to send my kids to the private school I wanted them to go to, but we couldn't go on vacation. I wanted all three of my kids to take some lessons. That wasn't a reality. We're asking, like, can we get pieces tonight? And like, I think the biggest thing is having to pay off student loan debt. A lot of people my age, it's not that we don't have money. It just like someone's like, that's ridiculous. You're making $100,000 a year for a family of five. Yeah, but if I have to pay student loan debt and my husband has to pay student loan debt, where's the money? The more we make, the more they take. The more we make, the more they take. But financially here, what's so great is, one, I can sign up for income-based payment plans. If you don't make a certain amount of money, which we are nowhere near that, you don't even have to report that money or pay taxes back in the States. So all of my money is my money. And I get to save my money and budget my money. And we can still go to islands. We can go to waterfalls. I can go eat sushi. I can eat steak. And it's like, I deserve that. I deserve nice things. I don't want to budget my life away. I deserve nice things. I think I want to get personal, but I don't know if I can say this on the channel or if my mom's watching.
Oh, well, that's on you. I mean, I'm for you share whatever you want, girl.
Okay,
But if you don't want to say it in front of your mama, that's fine.
Yeah, like, so I'm thinking about even like our marriage with my sex life. I'll be tired. Can you imagine, like, you have 3 kids, and you're battling Atlanta traffic at 6 a.m., then you work all day with no breaks, and then you're battling traffic at 5 p.m. rush hour, and then you have to go home, and there's no money for a maid. Like, you're cooking, you're cleaning, and I'm tired. And I would say here, like, as a married woman, like, that part of my life has increased a lot. It's increased so much where I was like, man, girl, like, I just realized, my husband, he's been saying he's so tired lately. And she's like, why? And I'm like, you know what? We've been doing it every night for a long time. So maybe it's just we have the time now. Like, I was like, man, my husband's getting old. No, it's just like we have more time. We have more time just to do that now. And then still go out. I'm home at 2:30. I'm home at 2:30 every day. The traffic here is not like the traffic in Atlanta or Chicago or San Francisco or Oakland or Long Beach. Like it's not. Or we lived in Indianapolis. The traffic was a joke there, but it's even more here. I can go places so quickly. There's Uber. Everything's accessible. So I think like our marriage is so much stronger because we can go on dates, we can have sex, we can have time off. You know, people have asked me like, well, how do you have the support as a family? Like you're taking your children, like who's watching your kids? Who was watching my kids in the States? Like everyone's working. Everyone's working at home. Grandma's still working. Grandpa's still working. Everyone's still working. And I couldn't hire a nanny back home. So I can hire a nanny here. Like I have the energy to hang out with my kids and give them my best self, not my overworked, stressed out. I'm so tired. Whatever I have left over, my little slither, I'm gonna give them that. It's just so many things have changed. I also the biggest change that I love is my kids. I feel like are way more cultured, trying new things. They're eating sopa de caracol, which is like conch soup, and I couldn't get them to eat anything but a chicken nugget back home. They're bilingual. If you speak Spanish, my 3-year-old, he came here speaking no Spanish. He might have heard it a little bit here and there when we're in California or Florida, but he spoke nothing. Within 6 months, I remember having a conversation with him saying, "Oh, mira tu hermano," which really means brother. And he says, "No, hermana," which is a sister. And I was like, he's even said no in Spanish. He was,
He's
no,
correcting you.
correcting me. He was correcting me. And it wasn't, he didn't take a lesson. He just learned it just on his own. He knows grammar and punctuation, all things I still struggle with. He just learned it.
You hit on a couple of things there, like with the student loans. I've talked to somebody who was doing public service loan forgiveness while she was abroad. And I know, like I'm older, so school was still somewhat affordable when I went. So I didn't have loans, but when I talk to people, a lot of folks, the loans are the thing, like you said, breaking their back. And people might think, oh, well, if I'm doing like public service loan forgiveness, that's not something I can do outside the US. If you work for the right kind of employer, it possibly is. Or what you're doing with income-based repayment. I imagine your student loan payment is what, zero?
Yeah, it's $0 right now. It was
And as
nearly up
long,
to $700 back home.
how much?
It was nearly up to $700. And then we got to a point where we were trying to avoid paying the student loans, and then they just started deducting it out of my paycheck. There was no way to avoid not paying those student loans unless you move abroad. So everyone move abroad.
Yeah. I mean, so if there's somebody watching this and they're like, yeah, I hear y'all talking about living abroad, but I don't know how I can do that. If you've got student loans, to me, like that in and of itself is worth finding some way to be outside the US, to lower that payment to zero, stay gone, wait them out until the loan is forgiven. Like to
Yeah.
me, I would be the first person to sign up for that plan,
Yeah.
if I were in that situation.
And technically I have paid it off. It's not even that I'm trying to avoid. I have paid off that loan 3 times over. It's just the interest. I have paid. It's
Oh,
not that I'm avoided ever paying. I've been paying since I graduated in 2007, and it's
no,
still.
it's predatory.
It's predatory.
Okay. And there was something else. I didn't write it down, and I should have because I don't be remembering things. But there was something else that you mentioned. Well, okay. For the folks who are watching this that have worked in education or work in education, this should be like perking your ears up, because when you teach in the US, school might let out at 3,
Mm-hmm.
but work does not stop at 3.
No. You have car
Work,
duty, bus duty, watching kids duty, just every duty in the world. Here, I was very surprised with the self accountability of the students. You know, our first day of school, the school gets out at 2:30, and I was like, "Where do the kids go?" And they said, "You just let them go home." I'm like, "How are they going to get home? Their parents will pick them up. How will they know where to go? They'll figure it out. Wonder if they have clubs? They'll walk there too." So I'm like, a kindergartner is going to I'm just going to open the door, and they're going to meet their parents at a spot and be there on time and go to art class, which is 20 minutes after the bell rings. Yeah, they do. They do. They do those things. And if a parent comes and says, you know, "I'm looking for Maria," she just walks around and says, "Maria here. Is Maria here?" She'll eventually find Maria. And even my own child, I remember being at home and he would say, like, "You forgot my jacket. You forgot my lunchbox." And I would be like, "It's not my responsibility." And here he has learned it is not my responsibility. It's his responsibility. And so at 2:30, I open the door, I close the door, and I lock the door, and I go home. And I go home.
that is revolutionary. Like, I that was one of the first things. I was like, for the first time in 20 years, I'm not exhausted at the end of a day, because like I get to stop work when school is over. I don't have a ton of work to take home with me. It's just a very different experience,
Yeah.
uh, compared to teaching in the States. So I'm hearing there's a much better balance, definitely in favor of you, like taking care of yourself, having time to do the things that are important to you, all of that.
Yeah.
um
All that.
what does a typical day look like for y'all?
Um, a typical day for us. If it's the weekday, we wake up, we go to school, we're at our jobs in like 10 minutes. I have so much time during the day. I am a fifth grade reading teacher. I teach one section of fifth grade reading, but I have 6 classes. But even in between the day, I have a full lunch period. I have a full break where they have recess, and I don't do the recess duty. I have a team planning period where it's like everyone on the fifth grade team has the same exact planning time. I would say I have some days 3 hours in the day to plan, to walk the track, to meet with people, but I have 3 hours of time that's not scheduled in my day. On typical days, I would say like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So I never bring work home. So we're at school around 2:30. If we don't leave, we'll let the kids go to any of the activities that's offered. So an art class, there's basketball, of course there's soccer. Everyone plays soccer. They offer Spanish lessons for teachers. We will hang out at the school. It's so fun. The kids don't want to leave. No one wants to leave. Everything is at the school. We will leave. We'll go home. We'll go swimming. I'll do a Zumba class. We'll go to a restaurant. The day is so much longer when you can actually use the day and you have the energy to use the day. Not like, "Oh, I don't have to work today. I'm just gonna lay here." Like you can use the day. We sometimes talk about how we were always so busy back home, and we're always busy here, but it's a good busy. I like this type of busy. It's such a good busy. On the weekends, we can travel farther. So we can go to the beach if we want to. We can go to a resort for the weekend if we want to. There's movie theaters, everything that's in the States they have here, except now I have access to them. I can go to them and I want to do them.
I am a little jealous because there was no Uber when I was there. It was kind of a clunky system of private taxis where you'd
Mhm.
send them a WhatsApp message and be like, this is where I am. This is where I need to go. How much is that going to cost?
No, there's Uber here. There's it's not Uber Eats, but they have Hugo, which is just Uber Eats. So I can order my food. I can order my groceries. You know, people are always like, "What do they have in Honduras?" And I'm like, "There's literally not one thing in Honduras that's not in the States, except for Amazon. There is no Amazon here, and electric toothbrushes. So it's such a random thing that I'm like, there's no electric toothbrushes here. So I always have to go buy toothbrush heads when I go home.
Yeah. Um, People have heard me complain about like the address situation.
Mm-hmm.
Addresses aren't really a thing.
Yep.
Therefore, getting things delivered to you is is tricky. Valerina has a really good question. The children were young at the time, but how did they feel about moving out of the US?
Okay. So they're all at three different stages. So Amari, who's the youngest, and I recommend, I don't know why I kept saying I have to wait till my kids are older. I don't even know why I thought that anymore. We could have moved to China. He would have never known that we were moving. So he wasn't affected at all. Now my oldest, who's now in third grade, I just let him know we were going. I was like, we're gonna move. We're probably gonna go to Panama or Mexico. And we would just look at YouTube videos and like, drone videos of the city of Mexico City and Panama and all those things. And he was telling people at his school like we're moving to Panama, and he was reluctant sometimes. Like, I have my friends, or I don't want to leave grandma. And so I was really worried about him because I knew he would be affected. And also I was thinking everyone was going to speak so much Spanish. How's he going to make friends? So he was in that stage. He was a little bit reluctant. My middle child, my daughter, who is 5, she was the most reluctant. She did not want to come. She wanted to stay in Atlanta. She didn't want to move. She loved her friends. She loved her grandma. And I had a lot of fears about her for 2 reasons. One, we know what it's like to be a Black woman in the world. And I was like, I don't know how the country is going to receive her. A little dark-skinned girl with dreadlocks in her hair, because I know how the States receives her. 2, she also has epilepsy. So I was worried about that. Like, will they have her medicine there? Will there be neurologists there? Of course there are. But they all felt, Amari, no effect. Monty, very reluctant, a little bit reluctant, and Natalie, very reluctant. Once we got here, it was a hard transition. I'm not gonna lie. I would say for the first 2 months, Monty was very shy. He didn't want to try to use Spanish. He was like, I don't know anybody. He's not the type of kid to be like, hey, what's your name? My name's Monty. Natalie is, though. That's exactly what she did. She, for the longest time, she would just go, hola chicos, hola chicos, hola. Those were the only 2 words she knew, and she would just say them over and over and over again. So I would say by month 3, all 3 of my kids said, I don't want to go back home. And that was, I didn't ask them. It was just like at the dinner table one night, because I told Monty we would be in Honduras for 2 years because that's how long our contract was, even though I had every intention of staying longer. And he said, Mommy, I actually like San Pedro Sula, and I don't want to go back to Atlanta. Please, can we just stay here forever? And Natalie was like, yeah, me too. And Amara was like, me too. And I felt really good as a mom. Like, I'm glad that I did it and didn't say once again, well, what about the kids? I'll do it later. Like, my kids don't want to go. Like, kids are going to be reluctant. Everyone's reluctant to change. My advice is always, if you go there and it's horrible, it's not the place for you, you are not a tree. You will not grow roots and you'll be unable to move. You can just go back to the life that you're living right now, especially if you're working in public service. If you're a teacher, there's a shortage of teachers. If you're a nurse, you're going to find a job. You can just go back to the same life you're living right now if it doesn't work.
Yep. Like that That's the thing. You can go back to the life you had. I think a lot of us erroneously believe that getting the life we had before, like if we step out of line, we lose everything. And
Mhm.
it's actually kind of easy to go back to where you were, to get like another job, to get another apartment, to get another house. Like it's doable. Um,
Very doable.
I also think, and I said this, like I accepted my international position. My youngest was the only child still at the house, and she initially had no interest. She was like, you go do your thing, I'll stay here with my dad. And she changed her mind. I had already accepted the job, and people were like, like, oh my gosh, you're going to take your daughter there. And it's like, you're the parent, you're the adult, you can see the bigger picture. And it's okay as a parent to make some choices for the family that maybe the kid who is a child isn't over the moon about.
Yeah,
I'm not saying don't consult them, but you are the adult. A lot of
exactly.
times you know better.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I know I'm not going to say it was easy. There was a pause. There was a hesitation. I had wondered, but at the end of the day, I have to put on my mask first. So if the ship's going down or the plane's going down, I got to put my mask on first, and then I can worry about you guys. And I was not okay with where I was in life back home. And it's so weird because even when we were living the life, like Spelman Morehouse couple, people would say goals, like what were the goals? I'm like, I would just feel like, you guys don't know. You guys don't know. But I mean, even now, people are like, you guys are living the life. But now I'm like, yeah, we are. We are living the life. We are living the life now.
But you know what? That transition, that difficult transition the kids had, that could have easily been the same had y'all just moved to a different state
Yeah, would have
or
been.
a different city. So I don't know. I think folks need to be a little bit more open to moving abroad with children. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because a lot of the folks I talk to, are either their kids are older
Mm-hmm.
or they're moving abroad without kids. But it is doable. Um, now,
You could do it any age, whether they were
yeah,
older or younger.
absolutely.
I know people
Did
who move with a 15-year-old and they adjusted.
I know, and we're very hesitant to move with teenagers because we don't want to disrupt, you know, all of the high school stuff. And you really have to question why we sort of venerate these certain earmark experiences in high school. Like it's all part of that bigger picture of this is what the American dream is. This is the experience you're supposed to have in high school. This is the experience you're supposed to have in college. You got to ask yourself who determined all of this? Who said
Yeah.
that these are the things we're supposed to be striving for?
Yeah.
Did you struggle finding activities for your kids? Because coming from the US,
Mm-hmm.
not only are you supposed to work and clean the house and take care of everybody, but you're also supposed to schedule your kids' entire day and
Mm-hmm.
coordinate activities and make sure all these kids get there. And so what I find is a lot of people when they leave the US, they sort of want to replicate that.
Yeah.
And I know like here in Mexico City, it doesn't work quite the same way.
Yeah.
And that is often a frustrating thing for parents.
I didn't struggle. I think one of the huge reasons is at the school, being at an international school, they're going to have things like basketball, which I thought, oh, there's a huge basketball team and a league and championships. Yeah, there are, especially working at an international school. But even outside of the school, there's baseball, there's swimming, there's ballet, there's gymnastics. Those activities were everywhere in the city. And I'm also, San Pedro Sula is a major city in Honduras. Maybe
It
if we're out like in the
is.
campos or the country, then it would be something completely different. But even here, I'm on the women's softball league here. My husband plays for a men's basketball league. Like, there's even stuff here for us. So it really wasn't hard, and I really think it's different. I went abroad in 2012 in Argentina, and like I needed to speak Spanish. I needed to speak Spanish to get on the bus and to go places and to communicate. But now in 2023, I don't really, my husband doesn't speak Spanish still. Like, he just hooks up the Fire Stick. He has all his shows, all his channels in English. He talks to the Uber. It automatically translates where he's going in Spanish. He doesn't need to know anything. It's like, you can find, everyone has a Facebook page. Everyone has an Instagram page. It's sometimes I'm like, we're not abroad like I thought we were going to be back in, went abroad in 2007. Like, you guys got it easy now in 2023.
We had a couple of questions about like the cost of living, what's rent going for, like where y'all live, that sort of thing. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so it really depends. And also on my channel, if you're like serious about moving to San Pedro Sula, I have a breakdown of our exact expenses of what it costs to live in San Pedro Sula, the lifestyle that we live. We splurge. Like, I came here because I wanted to do things. I wasn't doing anything in Atlanta. So we live in one of the best neighborhoods in a beautiful home. It's very safe. We have 4 beds, 5 baths, a pool, a patio. Like, we are living the life here. And I would say houses in that neighborhood start at $1,200 a month, which rent in Atlanta is like $1,700 to be in the hood. So I have another friend who lives in the city in a 2-bed, 1-bath, and she only pays like $125. Maybe she lives right outside of the city in Villanueva, but you can find places for $200, $300. But we are like living the life here. I would say the biggest expense is electric. Electric is very expensive to me. We could easily spend $400 a month on electric if we were to, yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Now, that's if we live like we did back home, which is like we leave the AC on all night. We leave it on all day, even when we're not there. Like, now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, why is the AC on even when we're not there? We just set it to 70 and leave. But now we're like, nope, we're not here. Turn this off. And so we probably spend, I don't know, a little bit less than that. But if you're a family of 5, you could end up $400 in electric bill easily.
Okay. I saw the video y'all did where you like did the grocery shopping comparison and that. So definitely go to their channel, Minerva's on the Move, to see like what does it cost them to live there. Now, my rent in Tegucigalpa was not $125. My rent there in 2016 is still was more expensive than what I pay now in
Wow.
2023 in Mexico City.
Wow.
I mean, it was a nice-ish neighborhood, but I don't know. I say that I live next door to an international school. So maybe the neighborhood was nicer than I thought it was. I don't know. But yeah, I was not paying that kind of rent.
Yeah.
Okay. Have there been any other challenges? Because we know no place is perfect.
I think that I think really I was always great. Like, I want to keep it real. I want to be like, oh, there was this one time I was always great. I think one of the biggest challenges though is watching my kids take a little time to make friends. Not my younger 2, but my oldest, because he's so shy. He's not an extrovert. It took a while to make friends. So I wanted him to like have them fast. It wasn't fast enough. So then there was a part of when we first got here when he hadn't adjusted yet, where I was like, he hasn't made friends. He's not talking. Go talk to those people. But he needs to do it on his own time. I think also too, we came here and we left Atlanta, which never really had a lockdown. Like the pandemic happened, but did it really happen in Atlanta? And so we came here and everyone was wearing masks. The mask mandate was lifted as of a few days ago, but we were all wearing masks. So yeah, that was a big transition of like a COVID scare, or it felt like a COVID scare to some people, still happening. And then also in education wise, and I wouldn't just say this is Honduras, but just in general, there was a huge gap when it came to my oldest son specifically, not the youngest two, but I call that group the pandemic babies, because those kids in my son's age group, the pandemic hit in kindergarten. So they left kindergarten and most of them didn't do anything. There wasn't a plan. They was just like leave in kindergarten. First grade was virtual. Second grade was virtual the whole year, some half the year, but first and second was virtual and most of kindergarten. So third grade, the grade he's in right now, is the first year where every single person in Latin America, for the most part, is in person. Now, not everyone had access to internet. Not everyone had access to iPads or tablets or whatever. Some people have the access, but if you're serving the 2%ers and the rich and the elite, they might have just said, well, we're just gonna go to Korea for a year. I don't know. So now that my son is in third grade, back in the classroom, and he was in class, I see a huge difference in the work he's producing and some of his counterparts, or even him not being challenged enough, what I want him to be doing right now, because there were some people who have not done a complete year of even kindergartens where you learn fine motor skills and how to hold a pencil. And then you come to third grade and you're writing the whole time. You don't have the stamina. Your handwriting's that of a kindergartner. And so for me, I'm like, I sometimes feel like my son is not being challenged enough. And I would say probably a lot of Central America is like that right
Yeah. Because here, the public school system, depending where you are, because a lot of people don't have internet, did classes on TV.
now.
And I know someone where her child that was like in elementary school, their class didn't start till like 9 or 10 p.m. at night,
Yeah.
you know. So how successful that was, yeah, I think we're gonna spend the
Yeah.
next few years finding out, like,
I I
that
think
didn't
it's
work
gonna be a
quite the
lot.
way we thought it was
Yeah.
gonna work.
I call those the pandemic babies. Like we'll see what it looks like, because it's gonna be a ripple effect. I feel like for the rest of like his entire time in school. I just can't. It's gonna be a ripple effect, because those are the foundational years, kindergarten to third grade, and if a lot of people couldn't go, and so sometimes I have to remind myself that, because I can sometimes say like, why aren't you being challenged enough, or why isn't this happening? But I've never felt that way about my younger kids.
Is it How hard is it for you to find opportunities, like enrichment opportunities, to maybe fill in those gaps and have him do things that might challenge him a little bit more
Mhm.
academically?
Well, because we're both teachers, sometimes, and also I'm just a helicopter parent. I kind of take that into my own hands sometimes, and am after school like, let's sit down, let's practice these tables, let's practice writing a paragraph, what are the parts of speech. But I don't think it's hard at all. There are so many people here at the school who will tutor, but even outside the school, you have people, this is what they do. They come abroad to tutor, to work online, to work in person. So I don't think that's hard at all.
How how much of a like foreigner community do y'all have there? Because when I was in Tegucigalpa, basically there were the people who taught at a couple of international schools, there were the people who worked at the embassy, and maybe some folks from the military base.
Yeah.
So it not in the way, and again, Tegucigalpa is teeny tiny compared to Mexico City, but not definitely in the way that, there's a community here.
Yeah. I would say it's exactly the same. So it's teeny tiny. The foreign community. There's a sprinkle, and I would say most of us work at the international school, or we came and we started working international school, and we loved the country so much, but we didn't want to teach anymore, so we just stayed. But for most of the people in San Pedro Sula and the mainland, there is not a real big expat community. Now, if you're in the islands like Roatan, Utila, you're going to see a lot of people, and those prices are like they're skyrocket. You might as well just stay
Yeah.
back home. If you're gonna go to live in Roatan, just stay and go live in Tampa. But here it's not, and you'll know. Like I was taking my daughter to swim lessons here, and I saw this family. And I was like, "Ooh, they're American. They're definitely American." I just went up to them and started speaking English, and they're like, "How did you know?" I was like, "I just could tell. Like you can just tell." So it's just there's very few. There's very few. I like it. I feel like I'm getting a true experience of what Honduras is like, being immersed in the culture, versus maybe being in Panama City and living in the expat neighborhood where all the Americans live. And I also sometimes like wish there were black people, like not just people who are Honduran and look black, but like I want to talk about black people stuff and talk about our movies and our shows, and like we get bunched up with the Americans. I didn't realize how American I was. Like at home, you don't see a group of black women and say, "Look at those Americans." You say, "Look
No,
at those black
because
women."
because let's be real. In America, when people think of Americans, and even in the US, they don't be thinking about us.
No, that doesn't include us.
No, it doesn't. But once you leave,
Oh
your
yeah,
Americanness becomes very obvious. And it is often a surprise, like, oh, like this is because I am an American, which is
yeah. I'm like, oh
not,
yeah,
it's not something we really get to sit in when we live there.
exactly. It's like you don't even give like I self-identify as black, but I never was like I want to be American. And so now that I'm here and I'm always referred to as the American, and then they'll group all the Americans together, and all the Americans are having a party. I'm like, I don't fit in with these white people. I don't really fit in. So I like we cool and all, but I don't know this song. Like I don't know what's happening. I don't get this joke. They were talking about a band the other day, and I'm like, we are the same age, but I've never heard of this guy at all. I wanted to make a reference to the movie Brown Sugar. And no one was going to know what I was talking about. Like it was not like I just miss those little nuances. I just miss them.
The Black American experience is very singular. No, it's not very singular. It is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we become as cognizant of that until we are somewhere else. Because, like you said, there are Black Afro descendant, because I don't know that they call themselves Black, but Afro descendant uh Hondurans, but
Yeah,
their experience, our culture, being living in the US, it's different. Same thing. Like I've got a friend here who is Jamaican, and we will be talking about things, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I don't know anything about that. And it's like, "Oh yeah, that's because I grew up in the US." Like
yeah,
this weird thing that is very much a Black American thing.
yeah. So
Okay.
I do miss that sometimes. I was like, come on, black people, come on down to San Pedro Sula.
Okay, so we mentioned a little bit that y'all have a YouTube channel. Talk to me a little bit about like why you
Mm-hmm.
decided to do a YouTube channel, and like what you hope people get from it.
So we originally did not intend, like, I know there's some people like, when I move, I'm going to start a channel. That was never really our intention. I think it was more of we saw the need, especially working at an international school and wanting to get more people to come to the school. It was like, no, I can't go to San Pedro Sula. I heard it's the most dangerous place, and it like there's was nothing when we were looking up what is it like for a family to live in San Pedro Sula, especially a Black family. It did not exist, and so for us, we were like, we really want to promote one how beautiful the country of Honduras is. It's like honestly, sometimes I'm in some Black expat groups on Facebook, and I'm like, I live in San Pedro Sula, and like before I could even say anything, the first post is, oh, look at this, I heard this and that about this country, and it shows me all these statistics. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I can't even say Honduras without somebody saying don't move there. And then the second thing is I wanted Black people and Black families to see what a life abroad could look like. I was looking for Black families living abroad because I know our experience will be unique and different. So I think that was the main thing, is I wanted to share that with other people.
All right. So their channel is called Minerva's on the Move. Go over there. They've got some really good videos giving you an idea about like what their life is like in San Pedro Sula, Honduras. Trying to think, did I have, let me check my notes if I had any other question that I did not get to. I think we have answered all of them. So glad you could join us tonight. Thank you for being on and sharing.
Yes, or having me. Like it was so great to be here.
Oh, okay. We didn't talk about this, and I probably should have. What is shopping like? Because like I was talking to somebody in Costa Rica, and they were like, "Oh, the shopping. Uh-oh, maybe we are not going to get that question answered. That'll have to be next time, y'all." Oh,
can you see
you're
me?
back. Yes, you went away for a second, but you're back. You're back. I was talking to somebody in Costa Rica, and they were like, "Yeah, the shopping is not great." One of the complaints folks have, in in Asia, like if you have a large shoe size, you can't get what you need. Same thing here in Mexico, because Mexicans tend to be smaller people.
Yeah.
So if you are very tall, this is not an easy place to buy clothing. Have y'all been able to shop for what you need there, or are you having to figure out other things?
Everyone but me. So yeah, that's exactly me. I'm almost 6 feet tall. I couldn't find things in the States though. Like, let's get real. The longs were never long enough. So I'm a very tall woman. And I'm also a very juicy woman. So it's just like I have thighs for days. So I can find some stuff, but it's like going thrifting and digging through things. I've been able to find a few jeans here and there, but I would definitely shop before I came. And I'm not a real big shopper. My kids, my husband, they find clothes fine. They find clothes
fine. Somebody wanted to know about 100% cotton things.
Oh yeah, we have that. We have 100% cotton dresses, clothes here. I'm also
polyester here.
Yeah, I'm a thrifter. I don't really buy anything new. So
okay, all right. Well, okay. I think that was the last question for real. Thank you again. Thank y'all for coming and hanging out and asking great questions. As I mentioned earlier, I will be live again tomorrow here on YouTube. We're going to be talking about life in Ecuador. And Ivana and I will probably be live on Instagram. I don't know. We need to sort that out to talk a little bit about the retreat, Reclaim the Retreat, that we just finished earlier this week. All right. As I also mentioned earlier, if you have been waiting to join the Get Started Investing Challenge, registration is open. The challenge starts April 9th. which should be a Sunday. And so if you want to do that, registration is open. Like, share, subscribe, all the things, all the things. Okay. Y'all take care, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.